Let me recommend you some of the greatest movies ever made. Here are some old favorites and new classics I recommend you watch in this season. Number 1, Christmas in Connecticut. This is a 1945 Christmas romantic comedy that for some reason I had never watched before this Christmas. A war hero recovering in a hospital becomes enamored with a Diary of a Housewife column written by Elizabeth Lane, prompting his nurse to arrange a holiday visit to her idyllic Connecticut farm. Unbeknownst to him, Elizabeth is neither a housewife nor domestically skilled. Her column is entirely fabricated. Pressured by her publisher, Elizabeth scrambles to maintain the illusion of her perfect life, leading to a series of comedic mishaps and heartfelt moments. This is funny, light-hearted, and is set around Christmas, but there were a couple of things that took me out of the story. Really silly things though, such as the whole point of this war hero to go and visit Elizabeth was that he was keen on eating all the delicious food that she was talking about and all the recipes that she was sharing on that column. But in the end, you barely see any food in the film. I don't know if it was for practical reasons, possibly. But it was one of those weird things, you know, in all the movies they would film certain things and some others were just given for granted or not as necessary. I don't know. But to me it felt a little bit weird. I was like, yes, but where is this Christmas Eve dinner or Christmas Day lunch? But you'll definitely have a good time watching this one. Number 2, The Gift of Love, A Christmas Story. This is a 1983 Christmas drama based on the short story The Silent Stars Go By. Janet Broderick faces a heartbreaking Christmas after losing her mother and her family business, leaving her overwhelmed with grief. In a mysterious dream world, she and her children are united with her late parents, offering a chance to relive cherished memories. Together they revisit her childhood in a small Connecticut town, seeking one final magical Christmas together. This was made for television and probably that's why it's either not as well known or as recommended as other movies, but it's beautiful, and again it has some of the themes that I already recommended in my Christmas recommendations. But the number 1 reason I recommend this one specifically is because of Angela Lansbury, who is dear to me for playing the character of Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. Number 3, Meet Me in St. Louis. This is a 1944 Christmas musical which was adapted from a series of short stories originally published as The Kensington Stories. Set in the lead-up to the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, a turn-of-the-century family experiences a year filled with young love, sibling bonds, and the challenges of growing up. The story follows 4 sisters navigating life's joys and heartbreaks, with one forming a romantic connection with a charming boy next door. Through laughter, tears, and song, the family learns the importance of love, tradition, and home. Judy Garland is starring in this one, so this is probably why you might have heard of it, as well as because of the Christmas song Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And it's a bit of a stretch to call it a Christmas movie, which is also why I'm not saying it's just for that period. And personally, I enjoy it in winter, but it stretches throughout the year. So it's basically a year in the life of this family. And it's a classic you might have missed. So I would recommend you watch it. Number 4, From Time to Time. This is a 2009 British fantasy drama which was adapted from a children's novel from 1958. 13-year-old Tolly, staying with his grandmother during the final days of World War II, discovers he can travel back in time as a ghost. In the past, he uncovers family secrets and helps his ancestors solve a long-standing mystery. This intertwining tale bridges 2 worlds, blending the supernatural with themes of legacy and connection. This is set around Christmas in 1944, and we could call it a ghost story, which again is a theme I mentioned in my Christmas recommendations, and it's one of those understated, simple, intimate kind of movies that I personally enjoy. Plus, there's Maggie Smith. Number 5, Charade. This is a 1963 romantic comedy mystery film that I already talked about in my birthday special. After Regina Lampert returns from a skiing holiday, she learns her husband has been murdered and a stolen fortune is at stake. In Paris, she finds herself pursued by 3 of his former accomplices, while falling for the charming yet mysterious Peter Joshua, whose shift in identity raises suspicions. Romance and intrigue intertwine as Regina navigates danger and uncovers the truth. I mean, here you have Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, and it's funny. I don't even know how Audrey Hepburn made those faces. She's hilarious. And the whole movie starts in a skiing resort, which is why probably I feel like it's good for New Year's or January. And it's one of those classics that simply never gets old. Number 6, Paris When It Sizzles. This is a 1964 romantic comedy based on the 1952 French film Holiday for Henrietta. A Hollywood screenwriter struggling to finish a script enlists the help of his spirited new assistant, Gabrielle Simpson. Together they craft a love story by acting out imaginative plot scenarios, blending humor and creativity. As the deadline looms, their collaboration blurs the lines between fiction and reality, leading to unexpected personal revelations. Yes, Audrey Hepburn again, because she is my number 1 tradition around New Year's. I have a personal struggle with New Year's. I hate it deeply. And normally I just watch a couple of movies with Audrey Hepburn to avoid thinking about New Year's. I totally despise it. I just love to spend some time with Audrey Hepburn. And this is why I wasn't sure which of her movies to recommend you, because there's also Funny Face that I would say I enjoy watching around this time, and others. And I wonder, am I the only one who enjoys watching Audrey Hepburn around New Year's? Let me know in the comments. Number 7, Rope. This is a 1948 psychological crime thriller based on the 1929 play of the same name. Philip Morgan and Brandon Shaw strangle a friend as part of a twisted philosophical experiment, concealing the body in a chest used as a buffet table for a dinner party. Among the guests are the victim's unsuspecting fiancé and a professor whose teachings inspired their crime. As the evening unfolds, tensions rise, threatening to expose their dark secret. This is a masterpiece. I also mentioned it in my birthday special because of this. Hitchcock is one of the best directors of all time, and for a reason. Plus, there's James Stewart, and I will recommend you next another movie starring him, because just like Audrey Hepburn, I don't know, he feels like a safe actor to me. Basically, I know that I will enjoy whatever he is playing. And for cinema enthusiasts, this is a must-watch. I mean, if you love cinema, you must have watched it at least once in your life. Number 8, Rear Window. This is a 1954 mystery thriller based on a 1942 short story called It Had to Be Murder. A photographer confined to his apartment with a broken leg spends his days observing his neighbors through his window. When he suspects one of them has committed murder, he enlists the help of his nurse to investigate. As they close in on the truth, the danger escalates, putting their lives at risk. Again, James Stewart and Alfred Hitchcock as a director. This is also one of the best movies ever made, and I'm not the only one saying so. And this, along some of the others that I just mentioned, will remind you of a time in which we didn't need much spectacle in order to enjoy a movie. I mean, if the writing and acting are good, any movie can keep you hooked. But it's getting harder to find this type of compelling story without CGI and constant action, and I really miss it. Number 9, The Sound of Music. This is a 1965 musical drama based on the 1949 memoir, The Story of the Trapp Family Singers by Maria von Trapp. In 1930s Austria, a young novice is sent by her convent to become the governess for 7 children of a widowed naval officer. As she bonds with the children and their stern father, her love for music transforms their lives. It's a fictional retelling of the experiences of the von Trapp family. Fun fact, this movie is an absolute classic in Italy, in the US, and in some other countries, but not in Austria or Germany. I recently watched a video explaining exactly why it's not as beloved as in Italy, and it kind of makes sense. But for me, it's a treasure. It's something that needs to be preserved at all costs, because I have very fond memories, not only of the movie itself, but I remember my mother, when I was a child, used to teach these songs, so the whole soundtrack, to her students in primary school. And I mean, I remember her sitting on the ground with her classic guitar, doing basically what Maria von Trapp did in the movie. And maybe another fun fact, I just realized a few weeks ago that the English version of My Favorite Things says some really weird things about noodles. Yeah, it says schnitzel and noodles. And as soon as I noticed it, I was like, wait, it doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't eat schnitzel and noodles in the same meal. It really, no, it doesn't work. And then when I watched this video I just mentioned, that I will link below, that explains why they don't really care about this movie as much, there was this mention as well, as in, but guys, you really didn't check how we actually eat our food, or what's a combination that shouldn't be made. Because the Italian version is completely different and it simply makes sense. So I know the Italian version by heart, but I had no idea about the English one. Number 10, The Lord of the Rings trilogy. This is an epic fantasy adventure released between 2001 and 2003, based on the novel The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. A young hobbit named Frodo Baggins is given the task of destroying the powerful One Ring to save Middle-earth from the Dark Lord Sauron. He is joined by 8 companions as they face dangerous challenges on their way to Mount Doom. The future of civilization depends on their success in destroying the ring once and for all. Of course, I'm not giving away the rest of the story, so this was just the plot summary of The Fellowship of the Ring, but I cannot watch these movies separately. They need to be watched in one go. For me at least. Perhaps because when they came out, I had to wait 1 year to watch the sequel, so I don't want that kind of pain anymore, you know? If I can choose. And if you didn't grow up watching The Lord of the Rings or living this lore in your life, you might not understand how deep is the connection that some of us have with this trilogy or the books, but it's so difficult to explain. We will never see movies like these again. And now Hollywood and all the streaming platforms that are making tons of movies each year wouldn't invest so much and wouldn't dedicate so much energy and effort and equipment into a series of movies, or even just one movie, in which everything is made by hand when possible. You can touch it, it's a real set, and you can feel it watching it. And so I doubt we will ever see anything like this ever again. And this, again, should be on everybody's watch list. Why now? I don't really know. Someone watches it on Christmas. I would rather watch it between Christmas and New Year's, or even later. But it doesn't really matter when as long as you do watch it. And now that you have the perfect movies to watch around New Year's, go ahead and watch my cozy winter movies, which are perfect for any winter month, especially if you're craving some snow. And if you're tired of cheesy rom-coms, then I have the perfect thriller movies that take place in snowy locations. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming videos, which are my wrap-up videos for 2024. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.